He's a big catch. That feeling when you have him on the show, it's like when you're holding a 100-pound marlin and you're taking a picture of it. You're like, I got this guy. Finally, I got him on. Yeah, the long-awaited entrance. Yes, Ryan Bartlett. How many years has it taken to get you on the program? Thanks for coming on.
No, man, I appreciate it. I've been big fan of yours for a while. I've watched you interview just so many greats in the business, and I'm no BS. I'm really honored that you reach out to this minnow. Definitely not a marlin or any prize fish like that.
Your, yeah, your version of a minnow is a big kahuna to me. Anyway, there is the industry, but there's also what happens outside of the industry. Although sometimes when you're in the industry, you feel like your life is the industry. But I really will enjoy unpacking the personal side of you, and even the fact is as we start out this conversation, how much pressure is there for you to be a third generation Eagle Scout? Because you talk about pressure, and I can't think of anything that's more powerful and pungent than that.
Yeah, it's my dad applied the pressure early on that I could not quit scouting until I earned Eagle Scout. And so I really just put, full court press on and worked hard, and I ended up liking it more than I ever thought I would, and did a lot of cool things with it. But yeah, there was a lot of pressure taken off once I got that Eagle Scout. And after I learned at an early age how to deal with that type of pressure, it really helped kind of set the groundwork for my rest of my career here.
One of the things that being an Eagle Scout and going through that program allowed you to do is be part of the Pinewood Derby. I remember that. I stopped right around at that time where essentially you're building these wooden cars and you're racing your friends and the Boy Scouts, if I'm not mistaken. And I guess you did pretty well in that category. Is this correct?
Oh, first place, baby. Now, it was great because my friends and I would get competitive with it. And, it was a bunch of my neighborhood friends, shout out Corbin and the crew. And we would really get into it. And our dads would get into it too. And, it was good because like our dads would help, but we weren't the kids that the dads did it all. So we were able to put together some pretty slick cars and have some races. And yeah, I took home the championship.
Have you climbed the Eiffel Tower in the pictures behind you? I see the Eiffel Tower. Have you done that? You're a very adventurous guy, so I figured that would be one of the many things that you've done.
No, not yet. I have not climbed the Eiffel Tower yet. Just enjoying the Target artwork that lines my wall. Target or Home Goods or one of those places.
Albeit you have climbed and you've hit the top of some pretty tall mountainous regions, right? This is not something anew for you, that you are an adventurous. And how have you seen that has played out in your life?
No, I think you're referring to when a group of my friends and I we decided to scale Mount Whitney, which is the biggest peak in the 48 states. And my friend messed like you have to sign up for a lottery to do it, and my friend messed up and signed us up for the 1 day up and down adventure rather than the camp out at the top adventure. And that entailed us leaving at 3:30 in the morning, and I don't think we got back till 9:30 at night. But we went up and down in the same day, and it was quite the adventure, and really just helped prepare me, I guess, to answer your question. By it opened up more time because I knew after that I didn't want to hike up any more mountains anymore, so I had more time to devote to work and family.
So was it worth it,
It
that trip?
was. No, it definitely was, and it was a journey up. It was, we saw a lot of cool things, but I think going at that pace, it was more just about getting it done and, scaling that amount in a day and everything. And it was more just grueling in a day. And I'm happy I did it, and it's real cool and rewarding, but I don't think I'd do it again unless I kind of enjoyed it more.
Ryan Bartlett is with me. I'm Bryan Fenley. How has it felt like when you were first getting started in the industry, that it was one big hike, one step after another in a way?
Yeah, it really was. Just personally, I interned in college, for Chiefs Hall of Famer Lynn Dawson and, the great John Crumley, legendary sports producer in Kansas City. And I got to just see things close up, and it was just a really cool adventure. And, I knew it was what I wanted to do. But the real world kind of had other plans. I had a position as a PA at the local KOAM station in college, but nothing full time waiting for me on graduation. So I decided to join my friend in selling copy machines and Phoenix, Arizona. And so I did that for a bit and then went into sales from there in radio ads for the Kansas City Chiefs. And it was kind of at that point I decided, going back to just earlier lessons and just trusting myself and what I felt. I just decided I wanted to get back into broadcasting. And from there, I just kind of dove back in and gave it everything I could to get a full-time position.
You went on to do that and have, of course. I want to get to that in a moment, but back to the just this light bulb went off when you said selling these machines, these copy machines, right? When when you're selling those, what is your pitch to me if you're going to sell one to me? What are you going to say to me?
Well, the new technology is print once, scan many, and that's going to save you on lots of parts and it's going to stop you from breaking down and stop your workflow. The new Canon Runner 4000 prints 40 copies per second. Or maybe that's, yeah, second, or maybe that's minute, 40 copies per minute. It's been a couple years since I updated my copier knowledge, but
Is it one of those things where you have to revert or you have to rehearse where you have these bullet points you need to hit when you're selling something like that and that you go to that time and time again?
I had no clue what I was doing, man. Like they could have given me a complete script. I didn't no clue what I was doing. I was just trying to wing it and right out of school. And I realized, pretty quickly that the sales life wasn't going to be the direction I wanted to take then.
But this unscripted life of yours eventually got you to ESPN, and you did a lot of things there. You made a lot of connections, you made a lot of great friends, lifelong friends. But people forget that, Ryan, you were quite the athlete at ESPN. And I don't know why there wasn't more linear coverage, even digital coverage of what you did as an athlete. Can you explain to me why that wasn't showcased more of your athleticism while you were at ESPN?
It must be locked up on a like beta tape somewhere. But yeah, no, I had some good teams that I played on while I was there, and I was kind of just more like a talking intramural football. We won back-to-back Super Bowls, not to brag. But I was more kind of like the game manager quarterback. We had just incredible talent all around. I know you spoke with Dan Presser, he was on that team, and Eric Katzman and Brandon Moore, Nick Steger. I mean, I could just go on and on. And we just had a squad on that team, and Aladdin Freeman, another guy I believe you talked to. And so yeah, I think it got overshadowed maybe because I wasn't that good and everybody around me was good.
When you would throw a touchdown or one of your teammates would throw a touchdown, how much are you putting into celebrating as far as a dance or something unique?
Oh, we definitely had something. It evolved over the years, but I want to say the final celebration we ended on was two low fives followed by a salute. Yeah, there was our team name was Hustle and Throw. Brandon Moore came up with that name based on the movie Hustle and Flow. So we thought that was pretty creative at the time, and yeah, it was a lot of fun having our dynasty, and we also won a softball championship too. That was with a lot of the same players. So good times back there. The ESPN intramurals, that was the best part about Bristol.
When you were there, how competitive were those intramural sports? Like, I think it goes unnoticed or people don't give it enough credit. How many great athletes work at ESPN?
Well, yeah, I mean, I played against Oral Hershiser in a softball game. I mean, there's just, I think we joke, but I think some of the athletes in the ESPN intramural leagues took those games more serious than professional athletes took their games. I mean, there'd be practice sessions, workouts, everything. And I know, the basketball league was one I didn't play in, but I watched. And, guys like Michael Buckland, he was
Mhm.
intense with that. And he led his team just far throughout that league. And just watching him and the other guys in the league and throughout the other leagues, it was like you felt you had to be all in if you wanted to compete. And, you had a lot of former athletes up there playing and a lot of, competitors. So it got pretty intense. Yeah. One time somebody even threatened to go get a gun and bring it to the field. No, and like, dude, we got to work together tonight. Don't bring a gun to the field. It was, but it's just, trash talk, going a little too far. Never was that going to happen, but
Yeah.
that's just how intense it was.
One of the things you just said, Ryan, was that you're all in. You're also all in when it comes to fatherhood. So I want to know What is it like being the 8-year-old son, being that Rhett, and having you as a dad?
Oh man, sure he wished that he could maybe sit on the couch and watch his tablet a little more, but no, I keep him busy and he keeps me busy. He's my brainwashing has worked as far as becoming a sports nut, and he's just a fanatic about it. Loves my teams, huge Chiefs fan. I mean, granted, he only knows Super Bowls. Like, can't imagine what a charmed life that is. I mean, living it now is nice, but went through some hardships back with my fandom early on. But no, I think my goal is, when he's older and people ask him about me, he's just going to say that he had a great dad. So that's just kind of my daily goal. It's cliched because everybody says it, being a parent is the best, but it's true. Before I was a parent, just like, yeah, the parents complaining, oh, my kid's growing too fast, and I've got the best kid, and now here I am, I recently had to give away my kid's little kitchen that he played with. And, we played hours and hours with that, especially during COVID, just him serving me up all his little meals on the kitchen. And I found myself getting a little teary eyed when I saw somebody picking it up off the side of the road and just like, here I am, but it's definitely changed me for the better and made me a whole lot busier too.
How do you get to relive your childhood with him, through him, when you're with him?
Oh, it's great. Like, it's an excuse to go do stuff that I want to do. Okay, yeah, I guess I'll take him to a Lakers game. Okay, I
Yeah.
twist my arm. I'll do his birthday party at the Angels game. Okay, I guess we'll go see a movie. So it's it's fine. Reliving that joy. Like, okay, I'm gonna like it already, but seeing him just really love it, and a lot of cases experience it for the first time, is just makes me even happier. And recently we watched through the movie Goonies together for the first time, and it was just incredible watching his face, especially at the end when they see the ship for the first time. And him asking me what's wrong with sloth in his teeth, and I told him that if he doesn't brush his teeth, he's going to get sloth teeth. So that's been great. That's what I got to threaten him with every night if he doesn't want to brush his teeth. I'm like, you don't want sloth teeth, do you? But no, it's just great reliving those experiences through his eyes, and seeing things from his perspective.
What do you miss about being a kid?
Everything, just the carefree life. It's I wish I miss, and my biggest stress was, I got to be home by a certain time. Um, Other than that, everything is the same.
Everything is the same. What isn't the same in a really neat way is the fact is I'm wondering how long until your son has an agent, because from what I hear, you guys have been doing some pretty cool things.
Oh no, he had the opportunity to be in a Rick Thomas produced feature the other day starring Joel Klatt, and it was for the first week of Big Noon Kickoff, and it was just really cool. It was Joel Klatt was a professor, like a teacher, talking to a class full of students, and students are asking, how the college football and the playoffs work. And my kid got to ask a line about, he's wearing a Notre Dame hat, and asking the Joel, he's like, how do teams not in a conference get a bye? And Joel said, they don't. And my kid, then, with his acting chops, said, oh no, and played the whole upset role, and really sold it, might I add. But yeah, he got his 45 seconds of fame the other day, and it was pretty cool. I had some of the neighborhood kids come down at 7:45 in the morning, and they had a little watch party. I served them up a plate full of mini muffins and trolleys, and it was a good time watching it with the little kids. They thought he was a complete TV star.
Did you ever act growing up or at any time?
I did, like, I acted in high school. I did plays like throughout my high school and a little in college. But ultimately, like, my sports schedule wouldn't let me be in a lot of plays, and I wish I could have.
What type of roles when you were in those plays would you play?
Whatever they would take me as. I wasn't picky. No, I remember I was in a couple Neil Simon plays. I did some just individual scenes that were produced, like did like a Who's on First. what else did I do? I did one from Pulp Fiction, a scene that was put on. What else? Breakfast Club. Just different things like that. Whatever they thought I would fit into, I would do my best.
You fit in really nicely now at Fox Sports Digital and the shows that you guys are launching and have launched. That's got to be a major source of pride for you. And in when it comes to that pride, where do you feel that all comes together for you?
Oh man, you're absolutely right. Just what we've done there, and from when I started, there almost 3 years ago, it's the department was somewhat new. I mean, I guess the department had been around, but it was really at the beginning of a big growth spurt. So in the short time I've been there, I've just seen it grow immensely, and it's just really rewarding. Last year we launched both the NFL on Fox podcast and the Bear Bets podcast, and that was just an amazing experience. A team of us, consisting of like Nick Rago, Francis Arthur, Chelsea Walker, Michael Buckland. We would consistently meet weekly, daily to talk about the shows and plan them out months in advance, and just to see them, the work that went through with them, like the graphics package that was designed is just unbelievable, for instance. And just seeing all the parts come together, and speaking of the NFL podcast, that's you know one where there's always constantly a lot of moving parts, and it's we have the NFL and Fox play-by-play analyst reporters on. We also have the Fox Sports writers on. We also have other guests on. And Dave Hellman is our host who just kind of guides us through it all. So, seeing where that show's evolved to, just and tightened up in places, expanded in other places, is just really cool to see. And then, jump into back to the other show, Bear Bets, and what we've been able to do with that show and the recognition it's deserved. It's really recognized as one of, if not the top, gambling podcast in the entire industry.
You were talking about the NFL and in a lot of what you're doing there. What is that which makes you busiest right now, this time of year? NFL, of course. What does that look like for you?
Oof, all day, every day. No, right now we are getting ready, for week one next week. So um, we're pretty pumped up about that. We've been planning, we've been discussing, and we've also been putting out a couple shows each week. Our output will go up here next week, and we'll just continue to go from there and try to get bigger and better each week. I would say, but to answer your question, what's keeping me the busiest? It's, this year I'm kind of in a role where I'm, working more as a showrunner for it, and line producing it, coordinating all the guests, times and whatnot. So it's become more of a bigger project for me this year. It's a great opportunity to just jump in there and just mold things, how we want it and where we want to see it go.
If I were to see a show go where it emphasized and it highlighted the opportunity that you had in running with the Bulls, how would you script that as the producer you are?
Oh man, that would probably be a live post game show after a walk off win. Um, it was, yeah, the my trip to Pamplona was pretty wild.
Were you fearful of your life at any point?
Yeah, there were moments. Basically, my best friend Corbin and I decided we were going to go run with the Bulls, and just underplanned every aspect of it. We had a flight in and out of Barcelona, or no, in and out of Amsterdam 10 days apart, and then a one-way flight from Amsterdam to Barcelona. We figured on the first day of running with the Bulls, we just wake up, go down to the train station, and cruise on down to Pamplona. And it's like, well, us and 20,000 other people had that idea. So we spent the day trying to find a way to get to Pamplona. And my friend was getting ready to buy tickets for 2 days after that, which was the first tickets for sale. And I happened to see a guy hold up a sign, just said, looking to split a rental car to Pamplona. And I was like, well, so am I. Do you have one? He's like, yeah, I'm getting one at 5:30 tonight. Um, Ended up, he was a guy from New Zealand, and so I flagged my friend down before he bought the train tickets, and we trusted this stranger and just rode with him to Pamplona, and ended up hanging out with him the whole time. We hooked on with a UK travel group and camped outside of the city for a couple nights, because the guy we were with that's who he was hooking on with. And my friend and I guess had planned to sleep in a park or something. So his idea seemed a little better. And then we rode in and ran with the bulls. And what they don't tell you is after you run with the bulls, the goal is to make it to the bull ring before they shut the doors. And once you get in the bull ring, it's full of spectators. They sell tickets to it who are watching the running of the bulls on the jumbotron and seeing their friends, family members run into the arena at the end. So my friend and I, we made it. We're hugging, we're celebrating everything. And what they don't tell you then is for the next hour, they bring out baby bulls, like one by one, just to mess up people. And so they bring out a baby bull and it runs around because it's scared shitless. And I saw people get hit and more hit by these babies than by the big ones that were running. And that goes on for like an hour, and I don't know if it still does, but when I did, and they didn't warn you about this one. And if you would jump out to go into the stand, everybody would just whistle you, which are boos over in their culture. So basically you just get everyone in the stadium would boo you if you left the arena before this was over. So spent about an hour dodging baby bulls charging us, and finally we had survived and were able to live to tell the tale.
How did you get out of that situation after the baby bulls?
I mean, it's like if you stick to the outskirts, you're kind of okay. But there was one close call where one changed direction quick and started coming right for me, and I planted my foot to run, and I slipped in the gravel that lines the floor, and I went down, and I just covered up. But then when I looked up, I think he just went the other way, and I was like, "Oh, thank you." But I saw some people get plowed pretty good, and people with the babies get a little more brave too, jumping up and trying to touch them and whatnot. But it was just that was my first trip to Europe, and what an incredible trip that was.
I want to ask you this as we wrap up this conversation, Ryan. What is it like camping with you?
Oh, I don't know. You probably want your own tent. I'd say that much. No, I'm pretty good. I know how to make a fire. I know how to cook over a fire. Yeah, I think I can. I think the coolest thing I remember being able to do from Boy Scouts was could hold a match, and I could drop a little hatchet into the match, and it would like start the match. Um, that was yeah, that was a really cool thing I could do once in Boy Scouts when I was 12 years old. So I didn't have to do any of that when running with the bulls. No match lighting with hatchets or anything like that.
Last one from me. What other random talents like that do you have that few know about?
Is that a talent?
Yes, I would consider it talent.
I don't know. I'd say the only other crazy thing about my adventures that stands out was I went on the Price is Right once and won the Showcase Showdown.
Have you obviously been a regular and watching the show, so you had an idea of what you were to expect?
Oh yeah, growing up, I would love to try and fake being sick so I could stay home and watch all the games. Price is Right was probably my favorite, and I was working at ESPN at the time, and my best friend and some other friends lived in San Diego, so I went out to visit him, and he said, "Hey, you want to go out for a taping of Price is Right?" And so I went up with him in a small group, and we ended up getting like standby tickets to the second of two tapings that day, and got in, and they called my name down, and it was basically idiot day on the show, and I was the luckiest idiot.
Well, it's Brian that you say that because you talked to me about wanting to be, a broadcaster, and here you are front and center of everybody in front of the nation. In a way, how is that? I don't know, not maybe liberating, but I guess validating in a way.
Well, so I like kind of what do I say, like, well, okay, so to get in to interview or to get in, they ask everybody who's going in what their name is, what do they do, and what's their profession. Listen, I'm Ryan from Bristol, or from Connecticut. I'm a jackhammer operator and aspiring lottery winner. I didn't want to tell them I was any competing network employee. I figured that would have shot my chances. So, um, I get up on stage, and Drew Carey's like, "So Ryan, you're a jackhammer operator. What do you do on the jackhammer crew?" And So yeah, ever since then, there's a group of people that still call me Jackhammer. But yeah, I was on that show as the Jackhammer operator. So to go back to your question, I wasn't there as a PA or producer. I was there as a Jackhammer operator.
Play that story off well when he asked you.
Yeah, I think so because I think he believed it. Uh, and I actually honestly had run a jackhammer. I used to work in the laborers union 1290 during college. So it wasn't a complete fabrication. I just wasn't doing it that time. Or I guess my jackhammer was more in cutting VOs and bumps for Sports Center rather than cutting through walls and concrete. But yeah, he said something like, so one of the prizes I won was a Bowflex machine. I mean, obviously. No, I'm kidding.
Oh my gosh.
No, but anyways, he's like, oh yeah, just what the jackhammer needs to do more motions like this. And I'm just like, yeah, Drew, jackhammer.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, so I was a jackhammer operator on Price is Right.